All right, so doing the same thing, but we have to set up a word problem first, okay? So, I know you don't like word problems and you're not very comfortable with them, but let's make this as painless as possible, okay? So it says, if a positive number is subtracted from its square, the result is 42, what is the number? So x is going to represent the number we're looking for. So that's what my x is going to be. You're going to ignore this adjective in the setup. Ignore in the setup. So when I write my equation, I'm not even going to read that word. Very important because it can get confusing if you try to use it. So, if a number is subtracted from, that means it's coming second. It's being taken away from something. Minus x. Subtracted from a number. And we just said that the number we're looking for, that's my x, so that's why it's x. It's subtracted from its square. How would I write that? Don't make it harder than it is. Oops. X squared. The result is, or equals, 42. So this is my setup. A positive number, oops, sorry, ignore that. A number is subtracted from, so that means it comes second, minus x. What's it subtracted from? Its square, which is x squared. The result is, that's my equals. All three of those words mean equal, 42. And then we solve this like I just did the other questions. So I'm going to bring that 42 over. So x squared minus x minus 42 equals 0. I factor. So x squared is x times x. Minus at the end means one of each sign. And what pair of numbers am I going to use to multiply to get 42 to get my negative 1 in the middle? Somebody said it. 7 and 6. Which one's my minus? 7. So I'm going to get that negative 1. So negative 7, positive 6, give me negative 1. This makes my possible solutions from the first parentheses, negative 6, and from the second parentheses, positive 7. Now, I go back and I pay attention to this word. I want a positive number. So my answer is the 7, the one that's positive. So same question, had I used the word negative, my answer would be negative 6. So you don't pay attention to the positive and negative until you finish the question. And then you pick the one that describes the one they want. In this case, positive. Okay, my next one here. Negative, we're going to ignore that again. Ignore for setup. So a number is 30 less than its square, find the number. So again, x represents the number. And then I read it and write it as I read it. A number, so x, is equals 30 less than means I'm going to take away 30 from its square, or x squared. So again, as I read it, I write it. Ignoring the orange highlighted number, or word, a number, which means my x, is equals 30 less than means I'm taking away 30, its square, x squared. And then I solve. I want to keep my x squared positive, so I'm going to bring that to the right. Now, we have factored enough trinomials. What order do I write this in? What goes first?
X squared.
X squared. What goes next? Minus x, and then the number at the end. X squared, and then the x term, and then the number without the x, the constant. I factor x times x, minus at the end means one of each. And what pair multiplies to give me 30, but gives me negative 1 in the middle? 5 and 6, which one's negative?
6.
The 6. So my two possible solutions are negative 5 and positive 6. We go back up and we pay attention to that word that we highlighted now, and we want the negative 1. So negative 5 is my answer. Okay, that is one of the type of questions. Number questions are questions about numbers that I'm going to expect you to know. And then the other kind is a rectangle area question. I think I have 2 of those, yeah. So a number question and a rectangle question. Okay, first one of the rectangles. I always draw one. The length of a rectangle is 4 greater than the width. So when it says the length is, they're describing the length, which means they're not telling you about the width. So that's where I start with x. So if they start by telling you the length, that means the width is my x. The length is 4 greater. What does that mean to do? Does it mean add 4, subtract 4, divide 4, multiply 4? If something's greater, you're going to add 4. So the length then is x plus 4. The length is 4 greater, which means 4 more than, add 4 to the width. So those are my dimensions. The area. What is the formula for the area of a rectangle? Oh my gosh, we should know this. Length times width. Or width times length. Doesn't even matter which one comes first. But the area is length times width. So the area, x times x plus 4, is equals 96. So that's my setup. Now this one's a little different because it's not equal to 0. So we have to do 2 things. We have to distribute. And I'll do it in the next step. I'll do it in 2. We could probably do it in 1. You guys are good enough to do that. But I'll do it in 2. You could do it in 1 if you want. Then bring over the 96. But we could have done that all together. So with that, we can make it equal to 0. And we're going to factor And I have no idea. X times X, I know that much. Plus and minus, I know that much. Now I'm gonna go to my calculator. What do my two numbers need to differ by? By 4. Good, got 4 in the middle. Has anybody got it yet?
8 and 12.
8 and 12, thank you. Which one's my positive? 12 is positive because I want positive 4, so the bigger number has to be positive. This makes my possible solutions negative 12 over 1, or negative 12, or positive 8. Which one can I eliminate and why?
Negative 12.
Why?
Because it's negative.
And why can't it be negative?
Because it's a positive 4.
You've got the right answer, but not the right reason. Think about this. Yeah, like I can't lay this down here and go, oh, that's negative 8. Okay, I can't measure something and get a negative. So, good, can't be negative. So we eliminate that one. So we take this, go back up to our picture, and that means our width is 8, and our length is 8 plus 4, or 12. And we could write that out, we could put it on the picture, whatever we want. Okay, last one. Oh, come on, make me a pretty rectangle. There we go. So this time it says the width of a rectangle is 1 less than the length. The area is 72. Find the dimensions. So it describes the width, which means my length is X. 1 less than means subtraction. You're going to be subtracting 1. So X minus 1. The area, so length times width, is equals 72. So we're going to solve, so we're going to distribute. X times X is X squared. X times minus 1 is minus 1X equals 72. Get this equal to 0. So X squared minus 1X minus 72 equals 0. Factor. So X times X minus at the end means 1 of each. And what's my pair of numbers?
8, 9.
8 and 9. Which one's my negative?
9.
So my possible solutions, negative 8 over 1, positive 9 over 1, of which we eliminate, which one again?
Negative 8.
Negative 8. And why do we eliminate it?
It's negative.
Because you can't have a negative measure. Plug those back in. X is 9. 9 minus 1 is 8. And again, we can label, or we can put it right onto the picture.